Welcome back to the deep dive. Really excited about today's topic, actually. We're going to be jumping into a game that's been making some waves on Steam, something that feels, well, genuinely different. It's called Tobor. And our mission today really is to figure out what makes Tobor tick. For those of you listening, always searching for something, unique on Steam, what is it about this game? What sets it apart?
Yeah, it's a great question. And Tobor definitely stands out. Fundamentally, it's a story-driven game, point-and-click 2D simulation for PC. But importantly, it's not just its own thing. It actually builds on the lore from another game, Rocco's Island, expanding that universe quite a bit.
Okay, Rocco's Island, so there's some connective tissue there. Let's get into the core gameplay then, because that seems to be where things get really interesting. You play as a spy robot, Tobor. Now, spy robot, that usually makes you think, I don't know, stealth action maybe. How is Tobor different? What's the unique hook here?
Well, that's the thing. It's almost entirely based on surveillance.
Yeah.
You're not sneaking around, no combat. Your main interaction is hacking into CCTV feeds. And you're not just watching passively. The whole point is to uncover secrets and actually influence the story. The choices you make, like who you decide to watch through those cameras, they directly shape the narrative, leading to different twists, different endings.
Okay, so the observation is the interaction. That's fascinating. You mentioned it has elements maybe like don't feed the monkeys. What are the strategic pressures? Is it just watching, or is there more to it, like resource management?
Oh, definitely more. It borrows that strategic layer. Think limited battery life for Tobor. Limited memory for, like, recording clips. And time limits.
Yeah.
You strategically unlock different CCTV rooms, but you can't watch everything all the time. You're constrained.
Okay, so constraints.
Exactly. Battery, memory, time. It forces you to make some tough choices about where to focus your attention. Who do you watch now? What might you miss? Every decision feels impactful because of those limits.
Right, so it's this blend of tension, what am I missing, discovery, and then seeing the story change based on those limited observations. That sounds really compelling.
It is. And the way the story is presented is also quite unique. It's actually inspired by an immersive theater piece called Sleep No More. You're like a silent observer, piecing together the lives of these characters, but it's very non-linear. You're jumping around, seeing fragments.
Okay, Sleep No More, I know that. So non-linear, you're not just following plot point A to B to C, you're sort of assembling it yourself, like a detective.
Exactly like a detective. You selectively hack the feeds, and by doing that, you're influencing how the story unfolds for you. You're piecing together this larger mystery, and it digs deep into the lore connected to Rocco's Island. You uncover the hidden past of a character, Dr. Goralini, and her secret research ship, the Goraliniho.
The Goraliniho. Okay, so you're on this ship observing people.
Yes, observing the people living in a place called Undercroft, which is deep below the main ship. And they all have their secrets, their own stories.
Wow. And the sources mention some pretty deep philosophical ideas woven in. Things like transmigration of all things, like fate and equivalent exchange, even ideas about perfection. How does a game even tackle that stuff through gameplay? Does it make you feel those questions, like asking if Goralini is a god and if gods are always good? That's heavy.
It is heavy, and it's not just background flavor. These themes are baked into the choices. You'll hit points where you have to decide, essentially, do you follow Rocco's words or the company's words? And these aren't small choices. They lead to totally different outcomes, different endings, like a current intervention versus a final intervention.
So the choices directly reflect those philosophical dilemmas.
Precisely. Your observations and the choices you make based on them kind of force you to grapple with those questions about fate, power, sacrifice. Is Goralini a creator? A tyrant? Your perspective shifts based on the path you take.
That adds a whole other layer. It's not just watching a story, you're sort of navigating its ethical landscape. Okay, so beyond the mechanics and the deep story, people seem to really love the feel of the game, the atmosphere, the art style. What's going on visually? What makes it stand out?
The atmosphere is definitely a big part of it. Sources talk about beautiful gore, which is an interesting phrase, suggests a sort of stylized horror element. And there's this overall eerie, sinister background feel that really drives the mystery. But the most striking thing, visually, is this increasing blue filter. Apparently, as you do more playthroughs, aiming for different endings, the visuals become more and more blue. Until near the very end, it's almost entirely blue. It creates this really haunting kind of melancholic beauty. Very distinctive.
Wow, a blue filter that intensifies. That's a really specific artistic choice. It sounds like it would create a very unique mood, almost dreamlike or unsettling.
Exactly. It really helps define its visual identity, makes it memorable on Steam.
And this world, Undercroft, below the ship. It sounds populated by some pretty interesting characters, right? Not just generic NPCs.
Oh, absolutely. They're described as dynamic characters. They live in this deep-sea place below Goralini's Ark, and each one has their own secrets, their own motivations, their own hidden agendas you're trying to uncover.
Can you give us a couple of examples? Who stands out?
Sure. Let's see. There's Maja, they call her the queen. Yeah. She rules Undercroft, seems really arrogant, demanding, controls people with some kind of strange power. But when you watch her, she also seems really tense, insecure, talks to herself a lot. It's that contrast, powerful but fragile.
Interesting. A flawed ruler. Who else?
Then you have Celeste, known as the monster. She's this intimidating mutant creature. Just showed up one day, looks scary, but apparently has the intelligence of like a 4-year-old kid, mostly just driven by hunger.
Okay.
But the thing is, she also expresses wanting friends. So you have this creature that looks terrifying, but has this childlike innocence or need. Makes you question things.
That's quite a juxtaposition. Monster on the outside, something else within.
Right. And there are others too. Stella, the entertainer, who always wears a rabbit mask. Electra, the priestess obsessed with Machina. Clotho, the architect who doesn't have a mouth but is somehow sociable. They're all complex.
It sounds like a really rich cast, each one a piece of the puzzle. Yeah. And what about Tobor itself, the robot you play? Does it just watch? Or does it have its own story?
It does. Tobor apparently goes through its own identity confusion and reversal. It wasn't just some mass-produced bot. It was created hastily down in Undercroft using energy from 2 different sources, Xlcr and Machina. So his own origin is part of the mystery, and its understanding evolves as you play.
Okay, so even your viewpoint character has an arc. That's cool. So bringing it all together, for you, the listener, may be scrolling through Steam looking for something that breaks the mold. How do all these pieces fit? Why are people responding so positively?
Well, the player reviews really say it best. We see comments like, incredibly cool characters, world and story kept me engaged until the end. That points to the narrative strength. Another one, enjoyed its dystopian atmosphere, the art style is nice and brought to life via voiceovers. So the whole aesthetic package is landing.
Yeah.
And maybe the biggest compliment, someone said it skyrocketed into my top 2 favorite games. That's huge.
Wow, top 2. That is high praise, especially with so many games out there. It sounds like the engaging narrative, the unique art, the world building, the replay value from different paths. It's all clicking.
Definitely. And the Steam rating reflects that very positive, with like 97% positive reviews early on. For an indie game doing something this different, that's a really strong signal.
It really is.
So yeah, Tobor is offering something genuinely distinct. If you're tired of the same old thing, this blend of deep story, unique observation gameplay, and that haunting atmosphere, it's worth checking out. It's less a game you just play, more a mystery you kind of inhabit.
A mystery you inhabit. I like that. Maybe it makes you think, too, about how we observe things in our own lives. What choices do we make just by where we look? What narratives do we shape consciously or not? Something to chew on, perhaps. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Tobor. If you're seeking an experience that's maybe a bit more thoughtful, a bit more atmospheric, definitely give Undercroft a look. Explore it for yourself. Until next time on The Deep Dive.